hustling machine. From gold-plated deals to jaw-dropping schemes, he's the mastermind of your wildest dreams. Stand up, take no, bow down if you can. It's the Brilliant Show with the Brilliant One. He's the man.
What's going on, and welcome into the Brilliant Show tonight. We got special guest PJ Hawx. Before we get started, yeah, ain't gonna be no fire on this right off the bat, but getting started, make sure you go check us out at brainbustertees.com. Check out the Off the Rails t-shirt on brainbustertees.com. Also, hit that subscribe button on Facebook. 99 cents a month. We're going to be giving away a t-shirt tomorrow night right here on the Brilliant Show with Asian Allen. So make sure you tune in for that as well. And then if you can't listen to us live, you can always check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music, Audible, and many more. Give us that 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. Without further ado, let's bring in, man, he has been tearing up the independent scene. He's been making a name for himself for years. Let's bring in PJ Hawx. What's going on, PJ?
Good evening, Mr. Brandon, Mr. Brilliant One. I'm doing fantastic. How about yourself?
Oh, doing great as always. Doing great.
Excellent. I got to give you some compliments, man. That theme song is catchy. I heard it for the first time, but man, I was like, okay, all right. I get some country grooving in here. All right, I dig it.
Have you ever heard of the ref Dave Miller?
I want to say yes. I feel like yes.
All right, he's the one that set that up and got it all working for me. And yeah, man, I appreciate him for that. So I got to give him credit on that one. So, but jumping in, man, what year did you start? 2016 or 17?
2017. Yeah, I had my first professional wrestling match. North Carolina, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, 2017. Started my training November 2017. I started my training right after I was done high school. So I was probably May of 2017. Just trained at Wildcat Sports, the promotion / school owned by my father. Trained by him, Jay Spade, Matt Lancey, Carlos Socorro. And yeah, man, I mean, I've been around it my entire life, but I never, I did some things here and there in the ring, but I never really started to train until that, 2017, right after high school.
Man, yeah, that's great. And talking about high school, like you were an amateur wrestler in high school, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah. So I started my freshman year of 2014, first time I ever stepped to the mats, went 18-18, I had an okay season, but summer, my coach, man, Roberto Furtado, I always have to give him so much credit. We had a really good team too, but my coach is just fantastic. He was a state champion at Bonneville, 2-time state champion. This is in Louisiana. Public school as well, which, public schools, especially Jefferson Parish, weren't really known as powerhouses compared to the private schools, but Grace King, the high school I went to, was really, really great at wrestling. Our coaching staff, our teammates were really good. Over the summer, I ended up winning the state championship in Greco, took second in freestyle, and then I started placing, the state tournament in folk style 3 years after that. So, I did pretty well, man. I mean, I think I compiled like 134 and like 50 wins, 134 wins, 50 losses throughout my career. So, for just stepping on the mats and all that stuff, plus, not counting the freestyle and Greco over the summer, but it was good, man. It was a lot of fun. And I would say that really helped me transition into pro wrestling, just getting my body better in shape, getting tougher, kind of understanding chain wrestling better. And, I highly recommend anybody that's looking to get into pro wrestling, whether you're in high school or even if you're, an adult, go grapple at a BJJ gym, go do an MMA gym, you kind of learn those foundations to how to defend yourself and just how to take care of yourself. But it's good, man.
It is. Hey, Crystal, how are you tonight? Also, let's show Crystal real quick. She's got her brilliant show merchandise. She's got the shirt and the hat. Crystal supporting it out as well. Man, well, talking about being an amateur wrestler, what's up, Willie Buck? Being an amateur wrestler does help you kind of excel into the professional wrestling world. And because a lot of people that are in professional wrestling right now really don't even know a wrist lock from a wrist watch. And getting that training and growing up in the high school era, because high school wrestling is a lot bigger now than it was 15, 20 years ago as well. I mean,
100%. I agree with that. I think it's good to do some sport in general if somebody's looking to get into pro wrestling, because it's a tough sport. I think pro wrestling, if you're in the ring, it's a very physical and demanding thing, an activity to do. So regardless whether you play football, track, anything where your body used to kind of getting beat up, going through training environments, stuff like that, that's just only going to help you to excel in the ring compared to somebody like where you've never done anything. It's just going to be a little tougher because your body is just for the first time getting that shock. But I do agree in terms of the amateur wrestling. I mean, a lot of pro wrestling things are based off of, kind of leverage. Willie Buck, what's up, man? How you doing? A lot of things are based off of leverage. So I mean, you can look at a basic thing like a suplex. You have to really shoot your hips under an opponent. Lift your head up and you're popping your hips up. That comes from leverage. Which, I mean, in amateur wrestling, you do a gut wrench suplex or even like a double leg takedown. When you have to, if you're coming up with a double leg, you're using those pips. You're driving with your glutes, all these kind of things. And you're getting your opponent, whoever you're wrestling, off the ground. And it kind of applies to pro wrestling, the same thing too. So, I mean, yeah, like you said, it makes a big difference in terms of just transitioning into training. It makes it a lot easier, just in my opinion, from my experience.
Now, like you said, you grew up in wrestling. Like wrestling has always been a part of your life.
Yes, sir. Yep. I mean, my dad, Luke Hawx, he's been doing it ever since I was a baby. I mean, I was on the road with him pretty much a lot. I mean, when I was 3 years old, we moved to my mom and him. They moved to California because he's wrestling for XPW. So yeah, they had a video of me somewhere. Like I think he was wrestling his trainer, Vic Grimes. He got thrown out the ring, and then you just see me running to go grab him. My mom has to yank me back, because I'm just trying to go, help my dad out and stuff like that. But I mean, yeah, I've been around it my entire life. I didn't, like I said, I didn't start actively, wrestling in the ring until 2017. But I've been around it. I remember my dad had a feud with Matt Hardy back in Extreme Rising. Also ended up bringing down a Wildcat. And I ended up being a special guest referee in several of the matches and those kind of things. Always kind of along, my middle school when I was in Meisler Middle School, they did a show there. My dad was wrestling. I don't know if you're familiar with Steve Anthony.
He was on the show just a few weeks ago.
There you go. Steve's the man. Steve is the man. Thank you so much, Willie Buck. We'll get into this later. But yeah, like that's another story. So like from my middle school, since they had the show, Walk had a show at my middle school. They did this thing where basically I used to have long curly hair, like think down to my shoulders. It was Steve Anthony and somebody versus my dad and somebody. It was a tag team match. I forget who, but if Steve beat my dad, they would shave my head. So everybody was like, "What?" They played the video and all that stuff, and they was like, "We got to go see. Luke's got to win for PJ and all that stuff, or Perry, And it was cool, man. I've been very blessed to be around the business, for as long as I have, and it's just cool to finally do my own thing in the professional wrestling business, kind of navigate it myself and just enjoy what I've kind of been around and loved my entire life.
Oh man, yeah. And the thing too, like with Steve Anthony, that's one of the guys he's just got that it factor, man. And still today, he's found that fountain of youth and is still going. And he just tears it up everywhere he goes. And man, he's a great talent. And I've been watching your dad since XPW.
Oh, so yeah, a long time.
When he was Altar Boy Luke, and he was with Altar Boy Matthew at one point, and then he went on to take on Supreme and win the death match title and all that. I mean, but you were born in New Orleans, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I was born in New Orleans. I pretty much lived in New Orleans my entire life. Still here. The only time I really moved, again, that short little time was in California. With Katrina hit, we were in Florida for a little while and came back. And then I did live in Georgia a little while filming a show called Heels, as you see on my shirt. We can get into that a little bit. But yeah, I was in Georgia for about 2 years for that. But yeah, New Orleans is my home. I love it here. It's great. Eventually I do think we'll probably move. Don't know where. I do really like Georgia. It really grew on me when we were out there. But yeah, man. So I mean, New Orleans is great. I mean, it's got a great culture, great food, of course. But it's great.
Oh yeah, the cuisine down there is just perfect sometimes.
Too perfect sometimes.
Yeah. So when we jump into, you talked about Heels, you talked about Georgia a little bit. how did you find your way onto that set? And because I know your dad's done a lot of acting, and I'm sure that had kind of contributed to it. But how did you find your way on the set of that?
Yeah, so I mean, it was through my father. You know, he'd applied, or I guess sent his application in to be the stunt coordinator for the show, and eventually he didn't get the stunt coordinator role. It went to Artie Maleshi, a legendary stuntman slash coordinator. But they wanted to bring my dad in for the wrestling consultant for like coaching, like to put together the wrestling scenes in the show.
Right.
So eventually my dad got the role. So it was like he was just like I guess co-stunt coordinator would be like technically the term, but the wrestling coordinator coming to the show. What up, Shug, my dude? Going on the show, and originally
we're gonna get to that, Sam.
Yeah, we'll get to that, Sam. How you doing, Sam? But yeah, originally, so this was like COVID. This was 2020 in August, right? Originally, I'd come out. You were trying to get me to just get on the show any kind of way, right? They wanted me to maybe. My dad's like, oh, you can double for like Stephen Amell. I'm like, I don't look anything like Stephen Amell, man. Like Stephen, he's blonde. He's a little bit taller than me and all that stuff. But I went out there. Me, a couple other guys, and me, Jay Spade, and Brady Pierce. And I want to say somebody else. I just can't remember off the top of my head. But anyways, we just get a little tryout kind of matches for them just to kind of see their abilities. Nothing too long, but just to kind of just show them like, hey, our skill sets and all that stuff for the show. And that didn't work out. But eventually, Glacier, I don't know if you remember Glacier from WCW, was going to be on the show. And then he decided he wasn't going to be on the show anymore. So the coordinator, this is also my mall jump just happened, which again, that's another thing I'm sure we'll get to. But a mall jump happened in February. They'd all seen the clip, they loved me. They loved. I just came in, did my thing, and they're like, hey, he's, let's get PJ down here right now. Like we want him. So I literally drove back from Georgia, and then like a day later, I got the call, like, hey, come back. I'm like, all right. So we just packed up and just moved down to Georgia, and that kind of started the beginning of Heels. And man, what a blessing it was to be on that show. I'm just very grateful for the opportunity to, again, I was able to work with my dad. I was able to work with Jay Spade, Brady Pierce, another Wildcat wrestler. He was Wildcat champion for a long time. And a bunch of other talented, it's, like I said, Artie Maleshi, stunt coordinator. Scott Hunter, he was one of the co-stunt coordinators. Pete Siegel, the director, he directed Tommy Boy, like so many legendary films, Shameless. Mike O'Malley, Shameless. I mean, we can go on Guts, we can go on for so long with Mike, and I mean everybody. It was so cool to work with the cast, and my role originally for the show was just to assist my father. So my dad's role essentially was to kind of read the scripts, and we'd go through the wrestling, and our job was to teach the actors like Stephen Amell, Kelly Berglund, Alexander Ludwig. Hey, all right, we're doing lock up, whip off, drop kick in this scene. Like we need to teach them those things. And of course, they had doubles too. But a lot of it, the actors did a lot of their stuff. They were really involved, and they all had a lot of fun. They all had a passion for wrestling, which is really cool to see. And they came in with game time attitude. So Duke Davis, Robbie Ramos, they would come in. Like all that, Chris Bauer, they come in, and we teach them what to do, so we teach them how to lock up, how to little things like posing and all that stuff. Like, like, hey, do this little pose after you do this, and it was a lot of fun. Eventually later on in the season, they were looking to cast a referee. And that's kind of when they're like, hey, Perry, you should audition for this. PJ, you should audition for this. And I did. They liked my audition. And I'd done some reffing stuff before, obviously, when I was younger. And I know what to do in that situation anyways. I've been around my entire life, and the one thing kind of led to another, and I ended up being Denny the ref on the show. You can kind of see me scattered throughout season 1 and season 2, as well as kind of coaching the actors along with Spade and my father, like what to do in the ring. So that was a really cool experience. And I mean, like I said, it was just so much fun. It was kind of learning from the actors, picking their brain on like what they do, and also kind of giving my input, my creative input on like, okay, what do this? Like there was a scene with Robbie. His character was Diego Cottonmouth. He wore the mask, kind of luchador mask. Yeah. And there's a scene where I think he was wrestling. I think he just beaten like one of our guys, like Danny Flamingo, another Wildcat guy, like, he was wrestling him. It was just the end of the match. He pinned him 1, 2, 3, and he came up, and I raised his hand. He was the heel, and I told him, hey, throw my hand down. And he threw it down, you know what I mean? Just had that little character bit and came up to the ring, and then he showboated. And, like I remember telling me, he's like, man, they love that. Thank you so much, like for telling me that. And it was those little things to just kind of give them those cues of like, hey, do this, do that. And it was a lot of fun to help them kind of develop their character. And then from there, everybody got really into it. They started developing their personas and their attitudes to the characters, which, I mean, that's what every actor does for their role. So, like I said, man, it was a really fun time to be on Heels, to be out in Georgia, and that experience. It's really a shame that it hasn't been brought back for a season 3. Bias aside, I think Heels has done it. I don't know if you've seen the show or not.
Yeah.
Have you seen it? Okay,
Oh,
well,
yeah.
perfect. I think
I thought they were working on trying to get a season 3 since they moved stuff to Netflix and stuff.
I think that's what they're trying to do. Again, they don't tell me anything. You know what I mean? I just show up to work. But I think that is the game plan. Now that it's on Netflix, try to continue it. But man, I hope it does. You've seen the show, and I think everybody else has seen it. Everybody's gotten a lot of positive reviews, and also just it's more than just wrestling, which I really like. It really goes into kind of the day-to-day lives that some wrestlers have to go through, some potential show drama that people have to go through. And I mean, I really wouldn't say it's too exaggerated. It's a really cool light into kind of what's happening. And again, I thought it was an enjoyable experience, and like I said, hopefully they bring it back for a season 3.
It's the closest thing you can get to depicting the life of an independent wrestler or anything like that. It's as close as you can get. Now, I've been on sets and I've had to sign so many deals to where I could not speak about anything that's going on. So I'm pretty sure that you had to do a lot of that as well. You couldn't tell what you filmed or whatnot and stuff like that. And it gets crazy with that kind of stuff. Let's see here. Steven Dixon. Yes, he has tagged with his dad. I'll answer that one real quick because we're going to get into that. He has got a few questions here, but let's go ahead and get this. Let's talk about you and your dad tagging, because y'all did tag at what was it, Supercard Ring of Honor?
Yeah, we tagged. My father and I tagged for a long time. We went by the tag team of Hawx Airy. We pretty much tagged from the beginning of my career, so 2017 or really 2018, like beginning of 2018 to I want to say like 2022, 2023. Yeah, we tagged for a long time, man. I want to say that was like Supercard of Honor. It was against the Motor City Machine Guns and the Beer City Bruisers, Brian Malonis and Beer City Bruiser against Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley. And that was like my 5th match, man. It was really a wild experience. I mean, at the time too, I was going to college at UNO. So that's where they wrestled. They wrestled at the UNO Lakefront Arena. So it was really kind of a super crazy experience. Like, I knew how crazy it was in the moment, but when I look back at those kind of things, again, I really just think about how grateful and how blessed I am to be doing something like that. It's just pretty wild. And I mean, that match was amazing. Being in the ring with veterans, and I mean, they're Motor City Machine Guns are in WWE now, so it's really cool to see that. But being in the ring with people that have such experience, and to be in my hometown, be doing it with my dad, I mean, that was super cool. The next night, I believe we wrestled. It was my first Wildcat show at home. The first time I did a Wildcat show actually wasn't at home. It was in Georgia, believe it or not. Which is, yeah, it's just like, okay, like, but yeah, the first time I wrestled at home was that wrestling, because it was WrestleMania weekend. I believe WrestleMania. What was the one in 2018? Was that like 34? I think it was 34.
Yeah, it was 34. Yeah, because yes, it was. It was 30.
Yeah, because 30 was here. 30 was the first time. Yeah. So, but anyways, yeah. Then we did the next night. We did like a father and son, like triple father son tag team matches. Me and my dad versus Roy and Ricky Knight from England, UK. Which, if you don't know them, they're Paige, Soraya. That's their family. If you've seen the movie Fighting with My Family, you've seen them kind of in that movie. Another legendary family. Again, great wrestlers, fantastic wrestlers. And then Bestia and Damien 666 from Mexico. I mean, Damien, legendary luchador from, Mexico. He's wrestled in WCW, Japan, Mexico, all over. The best
XPW as well.
XPW, yep, XPW, and then Bestia also amazing. Like if we get into the NWA stuff in a little bit, but like just an amazing luchador. Like it's just yeah, man. We've tagged a lot, and then one thing kind of led to another, and eventually we started tagging in NWA. That's when we did the NWA kind of power thing. But before then, it was a competition called Circle Square. So my dad, they were doing this little competition where they were bringing teams in. It was kind of like a little reality series. I wouldn't say like that, but in the sense of like, well, the viewers had a chance to vote for who they wanted to kind of continue on the show. And what's up, Frankie? So they got to vote, and we did a promo and stuff like that. And it was the promo was really good. The match was really good. We got the crowd involved, and I think we ended up winning the vote, which is great. It was December 2019. So we were picking up steam. We were at Booker T's Reality Wrestling too. So we were doing a lot. And then COVID hit in February. So like, again, there's a lot of things that kind of slowed my momentum, you know what I mean? With COVID, unfortunately, and everybody, but, so unfortunately that kind of got derailed. But then my dad, once NWA started running again, we ended up coming back. And that's when we started doing a lot more tag team stuff there, which was really cool. We had a lot of good tag team title matches, challenging for the titles. I know we wrestled Bestie 666 and Mecha Wolf a lot. Anytime we got to wrestle them, it was really cool, really good matches. We wrestled Nick Aldis and Doug Williams, which was really cool. British Invasion, so that was a lot of fun. We wrestled against a bunch of good teams, man. So it was a lot of fun to tag with my dad. We did that for a good long while.
Oh, I bet it was fun. And, let's see here. Hold on just so there was another question or something up here. Yeah, Newt Hawx. The first time I saw PJ was in the ring in 2014. Was you reffing? It looks like that's what it says. You was reffing. You got blown by Rebby Sky. What about what's that?
So I think you might be there's two different experiences. So this is Rebby's Matt Hardy's wife, and like I said, My dad Matt Hardy was going through a feud. Kind of crazy situation. My dad, they were wrestling in Extreme Rising, and he pushed Matt. Matt kind of fell off the wrong way and ended up splitting his head, and all this. It was bad. You know what I mean? So obviously not intentionally trying to kill him, obviously, but it just wasn't a good situation. So they ended up kind of having a feud from there. And but yeah, man, my dad and Matt wrestled kind of everywhere. They wrestled at Wildcat. They wrestled. It was probably West Monroe the one time, because I did ref a match there. But I also I wrestled. It was I think like the second or third time they wrestled, I ended up being like the special guest referee in the match. I don't remember if she low blowed me there. I do know we did a show at Wildcat, and I'm pretty sure she did low blow me there, hit me in the nuts. Is PJ ready to get smoked? July 26th. I don't know, Simon. Are you ready to get smoked? We'll get. Don't worry. I got. We'll talk about you in a little bit.
We got a lot of things to. Simon, you're coming up on the show. What, Tuesday, I believe. So yeah, we're gonna have some fun with that.
But anyways, yeah, so that was around that 2013, 2014 time. I don't think I did ref now. There was a promotion called Power Slam that I did ref.
That was it in Macomb, Mississippi.
Yes, Macomb. Yeah. So I did ref for Power Slam quite a few times, but honestly, I can't really remember the exact time that might have been, Newt. But what should I call it? Thanks, Shug. Appreciate that. But anyways, yeah, it was around that time, but that was when my dad and Matt Hardy were having their feud.
Man, that's awesome. Now, speaking of your dad and reality of wrestling, there's a good relationship there, because Wildcat does a lot with reality of wrestling. And what's it like being under Booker T's learning tree? Because if you look at it, you've had so much, like, you've been granted with so much knowledge in the wrestling business, with your dad doing what he's done, and then Booker T and others, not just Booker T, but others. Right. I'll let you explain.
Yeah, I mean, that was a really cool experience. Booker's the man. I love what Booker's doing over in ROW. And I mean, you got so many top talents in reality wrestling. You can just look at, I mean, go off the gate, Fly Dev, right? Zach and Warren, man, they're just a phenomenal tag team. You know, you got Ed Stone over there right now. You know, former Wildcat. You know, he was a Wildcat alum. You know, he's still wrestling. Still
Oh,
wrestling.
high
Wildcat.
def, high
Yeah,
def.
Ed Stone, amazing over there. Will All Day, Ryan Davidson. I mean, Ryan Davidson's the man. Somebody that has traveled, done it all, has so much experience. And then you got the girls. I mean, you look at T right now. You got Roxanne Perez. You know, which was Roxy. You know, she's killing the game.
And
Booker,
she was like at
obviously.
18 when she came
Yeah,
in
she
there.
was very, I think I want to say like 17, 18, you
Yeah.
know. So I mean, Booker obviously is doing something right over there. I mean, I would expect nothing less from the, you know, five-time, you know, world heavyweight champion, really 6-time, right? But yeah, it's amazing over there. And that time was cool, you know, getting to learn that, you know, from Booker, getting to do more tag matches with my dad. Because I want to say by that point I was about 2 years in, and yeah, because that's when we were wrestling Fly Death for the title, as we wrestled La Familia a couple of times and stuff like that. And it was cool, man. You know, like it was right before kind of NWA too, so just getting more experience, kind of getting in like a little TV setting because they do like, you know, the little TV tapings and stuff like that. So it was a lot of fun, and just being under somebody with Booker, you know, like it's just when he gives you advice, you know what I mean, it just sticks with you. So, you know, whether he's like, all right, I like what you do, try to do, you know, maybe when you do this, try to pose like this, or, you know, do something like that. You know, it's like, okay, like I see what you're saying. And then when you do it, it's like, oh, this works. You know, it's like, I see why. You know, the guy was on TV for so long, so it only makes sense. And, you know, I really have been fortunate to be under a lot of people's learning tree. You know, somebody else that I like to get a lot of credit for is Stevie Richards. You know, Stevie Richards I've known for a long time, you know, probably since I was like 12, 13 years old. And Stevie is one that I think is super underrated in people's,
I
you know,
agree.
yeah,
Utterly. Yes.
Stevie's very underrated. You know, Stevie was in ECW, WCW, WWE, TNA, Ring of Honor. He's been in pretty much every major company except for AEW, and that's because he's just not wrestling anymore. You know, I'm sure if
Yeah.
he was still wrestling, you know, he would be in AEW, or maybe even if he wanted to.
And I bet you he's already been offered a spot to appear on the show at
Yeah.
least once.
Yeah,
So.
it's been a while since I've talked to Stevie, but I again, you're right. I'd probably guarantee that too. But Stevie, man, like being able to talk to Stevie and just somebody that's like been in every single environment, and not just for a little while. He was, you know, maybe except for like WCW, and even then he was still there for a while. But I mean, he was in WWE from like what, like 97, 98 to like 2006, 2000. That's almost 10 years. You know what I mean? That's a long time. ECW, you know, and all the people he's learned to wrestle from. So like, when I had really my first singles kind of like, you know, big singles challenges against Stevie. And, you know, we had 3 matches. You know, the first one was in that Georgia show. Yes, he is. First one was that Georgia show. Second one was in another show, Wildcat. Then we did our big match at Revolution Rumble. It was a hardcore match. You know, the first time we ran the Palm Train Center. And man, like I said, that was such a cool experience. Like, you know, I highly recommend if anybody has the time. You know, I know Stevie's put it up on his YouTube channel. I know Wildcat's got it up, but PJ Hawx versus Stevie Richards, Revolution Rumble. I mean, that was a great match. You know, it was probably one of my, you know, longer single matches at the time too. And just to be able to work with someone like that, to learn from, you know, pick his brain, to like know what he's doing, why we're doing something, and just like it was a very great experience and something I'll treasure, you know, for the rest of my life. But again, it's just like you said, I've just been very grateful to have been around so many knowledgeable wrestlers. And I mean, that's one of my favorite things to do is just I like to learn. I like to, you know, and it doesn't matter whether, you know, you have 100 years of experience or you have one. Everybody has a different experience and perspective, and you can really learn from everybody. And I think you know, when you stop learning is also kind of when you stop growing. And, you know, I want to continue to grow. So yes, I've been fortunate for that.
My thoughts process on that all the time is this: you never stop learning and wrestling. No matter how much you know, how long you've been in the business, something new pops up because the business is evolving at all times. It never
Mm-hmm.
stops evolving. So you have to keep up with the times. And you know, my thing is this: we both live in the South. So we know that old school traditional style wrestling kind of dominates most of the area. Then you got the new school. But I look at things when I was running the show, whatever, variety. Variety is what's king in wrestling. You do
Yes.
not want to put on the same thing every time. Variety, baby, variety. Let's see. King
Which,
Booker.
Yeah, which I agree completely. You know, I have yet to run a show, but I mean, again, I've been around. I mean, my dad started Wildcat in 2011, so I mean, I've been around it for a long time, and you know, just kind of seeing that, just kind of how that evolves, and you know, I think that is really important. You know, like to have a good variety. And yeah, there's something we do have a specific style in Southern wrestling, but I think everybody sees their own. You know, that's what makes wrestling so much fun too. You know, they may not like me because maybe I do a little more technical things, but you know, somebody else may love it. You know, or maybe somebody doesn't really like the guy that does high flying. The other person, that's their favorite wrestler. You can't tell them anything different. That's the beauty of professional wrestling. You know, and for wrestlers, you know, we are the artists, and the ring is our canvas. You know, we get to paint whatever picture we want, and you know, we go from there. Some people may love it, some people may hate it, but that's kind of the journey. You got to figure out what works and what doesn't work.
Exactly. And we're going to get into this, Shannon. I want PJ to talk about this, you know, hardcore death match wrestling, because like I said, before you get into it, your dad took on, God rest his soul, Supreme, who just was brutal. And I watched those matches. Okay. And your dad took a hell of a beating. He got his ass beat. Now, he won the title one time, but I think I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I may be wrong, but I believe he beat Supreme in the bingo hall in Philadelphia after XPW kind of moved over that way for a few months with Shane Douglas. But what's your thoughts and opinion on hardcore and death matches?
I mean, I think to each their own, right? I know why my dad's done it, and if you listen to any of his interviews, you know, he'll say that he did not necessarily enjoy doing that. You know, it's just he kind of did it because he was young and he was chasing it, and he wanted an opportunity just to kind of make a name for himself. Which I understand. You know, like you can go kind of, like I said, go listen to any of these interviews. He'll tell it, but you know, I think if he could do his career back, he would probably not have done any of that stuff, though. You know, if he had a chance to, you know, if he could do something else. And I mean, I don't think deathmatch wrestling is bad by any means. You know, if you like some kind of, you
That's
know,
your niche, you know.
So yeah, that's your niche. That's your niche. You know, like some people like comedy wrestling. So I love technical wrestling. You know, I do more than technical wrestling, but that's what I just love. Like, you know, I can go put on a Kurt Angle match. I'll go watch that for 3 hours. You know what I mean? And I'm just had like that's my form of, I find that entertaining. But you know, as long as you know the people are enjoying it, I don't really see a problem with it. You know, I just think would I ever do one? Probably not. I've done some hardcore matches in terms of no barbed wire or you know, light tubes or anything like that. But I've done some extreme rules and stuff like that. Maybe that's probably far as I'll get. But you know, if you do it, more power to you. And you know, go knock somebody out with the light tube for me, please.
Oh, exactly. You know, here's my thing. I'm not a deathmatch wrestler fan, but there's people that do like it. So I don't condemn it. It's just not my thing. I like all different styles of wrestling. I'll watch the death match. Don't get me wrong. I've watched it. Trust me. XPW was full of it. Back in the day now, I was probably head on with it. I remember watching the XPW show that they did in, I think it was Hostile Takeover they did in Philadelphia, the first show. And they had it on a webcam. And if you remember the webcams back in the day, which you probably don't.
Yeah, I knew dial up, but not like that well.
But the 2002 like webcams are not like today's. Like where you're getting full 30, you know, you're getting the good images. Back then it was like slow, but you could see it, but it was really slow. But yeah, jumping into that, like, let me see here. There was another question that was in here. We'll go ahead and talk about it. Josh Newell. We'll jump into that real quick. Josh Newell, one of my favorite people. Enjoy everything he does because he's one of those promoters that just knows it. And he has been doing it for a long time. And then he started the Down the Bayou tournament, which you're in. You're in the Final Four with Ray Fury, Hunter Law. It's, you know, it's great. So what's your thoughts of BIW? What's your thoughts of the Down in the Bayou tournament? And are we going to win the Down in the Bayou tournament here?
We already know the answer to that one. Of course we are, you know. But you know, I've really enjoyed BIW. You know, Josh Newell. I remember we discussed, you know, like talking about coming out to BIW, and the Down in the Bayou tournament kind of ended up being the perfect opportunity for me to do that, and I've really enjoyed it. You know, my first time wrestling for them was my first time wrestling for them was in Brookhaven, Mississippi. I had my first round match against Casey Black Rose, you know, out of Texas, and that was a really good match. You know, if you look on Samuel's YouTube channel, if he wants to plug that in the chat, you know, you can catch all those matches on there.
Yes, 318
But
wrestling.
but you know, and that was a lot of fun. Brookhaven was so much fun, man. You know, I've wrestled in Mississippi. I want to say maybe like 2 or 3 times at this point. Yeah, that was my 3rd time. But man, it was just a lot of fun. I wasn't, you know, because I go places, but you know, sometimes I'm like, you know, when you go to a new place, you never know how they're gonna receive you. You know what I mean? For the first time, like, are they gonna like
Right.
me? Are they not gonna like me? Are they gonna think my haircut looks weird? You know what I mean? So I'm just there, and I'm like, well, you know, let's just go have fun. And it was just such a fun time. You know, everybody was there that came to BIW to have a fun time. You know, got to talk to so many people, meet so many new people, and connect with them. And the match, you know, was really good. And you know, Josh, I watched the entire show that night. The entire show was phenomenal. You know, like Josh knows how to book talent. You know, I'll say that. Like there was a lot of good talent on the show, and then same thing. Like the next time I wrestled up in Fountain Hill, Arkansas, against Alex Arsenal, that's my most recent match at BIW. Again, just another good show in Arkansas. Like it's been a really cool experience, and I've really enjoyed working at BIW. You know, I'm really excited for this next match. You know, this is my first one coming up this month, July 19th in West Monroe, Louisiana. I'm taking on Exodus Prime in the semifinals of the tournament. You know, I've seen Exodus. You know, he was at the same show I wrestled, and I mean, he's a great competitor. You know, and and obviously you had to be that good to make it to the semifinals, right? You know, you don't just make it there by chance. So I think that you know, like every match, I got my work cut out for me, but that's exactly why I train. I do what I need to do, and I come in hungry and ready to win. And you know, July 19th in West Monroe is going to be no different. The last time I was there, I was, you know, guest refereeing my dad, you know, for Matt Hardy. This time it's as a singles competitor. I'm looking to be the first ever Down in the Bayou tournament champion. You know, winning tournaments is kind of in my nature, but like I said, it goes down July 19th. BIW has been a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. And, you know, even after the Down in the Bayou tournament, I'm looking forward to hopefully continuing at BIW. It's been a lot of fun. And I think the fans have enjoyed it. I have too. And we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah, Exodus Prime's a great talent as well. And JB Williamson, you're right. Hardcore death matches should be kind of a blow off. That should be the finish to a feud, and kind of run it through, in my opinion. Those are good. I mean, you got to make them make sense. Psychology is key in wrestling. That is my, you know, one of my biggest things is psychology being key in wrestling. All right. I've held off long enough. I can't wait.
All right, man. What's up? What's on your mind?
We got to show the jump.
All right, let's do it.
All right, here we go. Let me add it to the screen here. This is the jump that was made at a mall. We'll talk about it after. Let's just kind of watch it real quick. All right. So we saw the jump. Golly, man. All right. I'm scared.
That guy's crazy. That guy's crazy.
Yeah. Well, that guy's you. I mean, dude, look, I'm scared of heights. Okay. But I will do stuff when adrenaline is pumping through my veins. And what mall was that?
That was the now defunct Esplanade Mall in Kenner, Louisiana.
Okay. I thought it was. Now, Jeff Hardy ain't got nothing on him. But
I don't know about that. Oh, Jeff's the man. He's probably he's done the crazier bumps than that. Yeah.
Yeah, Jeff is the man. But like, dude, okay. So as a performer, I know that feeling of going up and doing something that I just wouldn't normally do, right?
Mhm.
Like climb a ladder or something. What was that feeling like? And how did this concept come into play? Like, did you just look up like a Simon Phillips does and say, oh, hey, I could jump off a building today?
So originally it came from my father. So we were in the building and we were just looking at things, and he was like, somebody should jump off that. I'm like, okay. He's like, you should jump off that. I'm like, okay. So, and that's kind of the end of that conversation. I looked at him, I'm like, you think I can make that? He's like, yeah. I'm like, all right, cool. And 100%, man. I know that's why I give credit where credit's due. Fly Deaf, they could have moved out the way, but for some reason they decided to save my life. So shout out to Fly Deaf for catching me. I'll shout them out a million times. Without them, PJ Hawx the bird might have, lost it, got his wings clipped. But anyways, yeah, man, it was kind of a wild experience. I went up there. The only thing I knew, as you can kind of see, like if you watch the clip again, I just took my time going over the guardrails because I just knew if anything was going to happen, um, that was going to go wrong, it was going to be me slipping. Um, so that's why I really took my time. The other thing was, I gave it up to God. I said, hey, man, like, please protect me, keep everybody safe. And anytime I performed, I'll be honest with you, I was not nervous at all. There was no signs of nervousness for me. My heart wasn't racing. I was just confident. And, so I also do a lot from being a stuntman, I've done a lot of stuntman training. I've done high back falls where we jump in 20, 30 feet into like a bag and stuff like that. I've done that all the time, in trampoline parks when I was younger, just go into, the jumping off a high ledge into the foam pit and all that kind of stuff. Training, I've done those kind of million times. I know my aim and I know kind of what I need to do to get far or how far I need to go, whether I'm pushing stuff like that. And yes, sir. But yeah, I made the sign of the cross, and as soon as I jumped off, I knew I said, I got it. I knew it, and I hit the cross body, and my ribs hurt for a little while, but that was about the extent of the damages. I that went, and it just kind of went crazy from there, and we ended up winning the match. We beat Fly Deaf, and we ended up we had the clip, we posted it on my Twitter and all that stuff, and that was kind of it, right? Until the next day, all of a sudden my phone went buzz, and then went buzz, and then went buzz, 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 buzz. Like it did not stop, and my phone was going crazy. It was completely insane. I mean, my Twitter was blowing up. My Instagram was blowing up. I'm pretty sure we posted on Facebook. Facebook was blowing up. Eventually, ESPN, shared it on SportsCenter. I think it made like number 3 or number 2 on SportsCenter that week. Ridiculousness. All these kind of things. Where it started blowing up, and it was just crazy. We had bookings lined up. It was just like, I'm like, wow, this is just. I just couldn't believe it. And off a crossbody too. I didn't do anything crazy. You know what I mean? Like, though, and I know I'm making it sound like I didn't do anything wild, but like, I didn't do a backflip, a moonsault. I didn't do a 450. I did a crossbody off a 20, 25 foot, ledge, which, I mean, if you think about it, it's no different from in WWE when they do the stuff like the ladders. I was just in them all, but it was just really cool, man. And then COVID hit the next week. So all my momentum got derailed, and it kind of sucked, man. It's kind of one of those things where it's like, wow, we can't really capitalize off this. But I'm just extremely grateful for that whole experience, man. Like the fact that I was able to do something successfully, have such kind of like legendary moment in that sense. And I mean, it was just really cool. And I'm glad that nobody got hurt. And it's something that people we love to talk about. It's a fun conversation starter for sure. Like, hey, man, nice to meet you. I'm like, yeah. Nice to meet you too. What do you do? I wrestle. You want to see this clip? What? Oh, yeah. So a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, I mean, dude, like just when you were setting sail in the air that night, and Fly Deaf, I'm gonna just go ahead and give them their props. One of the best tag teams on the independent scene has not been signed. Like I don't know how
it baffles me. I don't understand how they're not signed either. It really does baffle to any like somebody has to sign them by now. But
Look, they got the look. They got the it factor as well. They got the look. They got the moves, and they're pristine in the ring. Plus, I mean, Booker T's a boy, but the thing is, like, both these guys are in great shape and just tearing it up. Let me see here. We got something. Did you keep training during COVID?
I did. We all were trying to figure it out. Obviously with safety precautions and all that kind of stuff. But luckily Wildcat at the time, the school we were in kind of was closed. Like we had our own kind of deal. So I was able to just go in there and just go train and go work out and those kind of things. And I mean, it wasn't too much longer anyways. Like that was in February. He was happening in August. So an NWA ended up running a show, I want to say like around September, October, because they were still in Atlanta. So it was easy. Like, we also have COVID protocols. Like we weren't able to like just go out of town and stuff like that. So luckily it kind of worked out where like we were like NWA was in Atlanta too. So when I was in Heels, I was training, every day in the ring, because that's what we were doing. We're training the wrestlers or the actors as well as ourselves. But, so luckily I was able to still train during COVID.
Man, that is awesome. All right. Let's jump into something else. We're going to talk about NWA here in a minute. Let's see here. I want to talk about one of my favorite people, one of the greats, because you had a hand in helping him, I believe, in training. Was my boy Suge White, the realest man on the block.
The realest, the king of the South. He is the king of the South. I think I saw a screen grab of that somewhere. No, Suge's the man. I actually it was in that building that Suge started training, and that's kind of where we met. And yeah, he's been on a tear ever since, man. I really like Suge in the sense of like, he sticks to his guns. He's very confident in what he does. He works hard. And I mean, again, he, whether you like him or you hate him, he's going to keep it real with you, which is something that a lot of people don't do with you. So, I really appreciate Suge, and I mean, he's one I definitely think people need to keep an eye out for in the South, and eventually, all over the states. Whenever whenever he gets the opportunity to just continue his wrestling journey. But yeah, Suge's the man. I can't hear you. I still can't hear you.
All right. Can you hear me now?
You're back. Yeah, you're back. There we go.
All right. I don't know what happened with my microphone there. But yeah,
it's all
Suge,
good.
man.
Were you able to hear me? Were you able to hear me?
Yes, I heard you all the way through. I just couldn't hear myself.
I got you.
But yeah, Suge's a great talent, man. He really is. He's got a bright future. And dude's no holds barred. He's the realest cat on the block. And yes, I had mic issues. I did.
Well, one thing, which I like with Suge too is, you really feel, pro wrestling's about emotions, real emotions. And, one thing I give credit to Suge about too is, when he's doing something, you do feel those emotions, especially in his promos and those kind of things too. You hear him talk about something. I really believe he's gonna, take care of business, whatever it is. And I mean, that's part of the battle, with pro wrestling too. Like whatever it is, we got to be able to really convey those emotions. So people, because people know when you're being authentic and genuine, and when you're not. And if you're not giving it your all, I mean, people will know that. And so it's cool. It's cool to see that translate for him.
Well, the thing is, man, like if you don't believe what you're doing, the fans are not going to believe it either. And you take one look at Suge, and there ain't nothing but realness there. And I will, Miss Savage, I will stop buying my cables at the Dollar Tree once I can afford it. And we'll get to there one day. Yeah, I had to fix my audio. Suge and PJ need to team in a tag team tournament at XIW. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that would probably be I don't know if y'all could be stopped.
Hey, I'm down with it, Suge and PJ Hawx. I mean, we're kind of opposite ends of the spectrum, but I mean, if anything, that works. We're the yin and yang to each other. So I'm down for it. You know, it's been a while since I've been a tag team wrestler, but that's my roots at the end of the day.
So how did the NWA stuff come about? Because I mean, that to me was one of the coolest things. Is with the whole Power and everything like that, NWA Power when it first came, I was actually at the last taping of NWA Power before COVID happened, and that was the day
Really?
Kobe Bryant died too.
Yeah. Like I said, man, NWA was a lot of fun. I'm very grateful for all that experience. So it all started in December of 2019. My father and I had the opportunity to do this kind of competition they were doing called Circle Square. But and this is, I want to say, Dave Lagana was still there at the time. This is before I think he'd exited the company. But
Wade
it
Barrett was
was,
still there, wasn't he?
yeah, Bill Barons was there, and he was still there while I was there as well. But Billy Corgan, Pat Kenny, those guys. But anyways, so yeah, the competition was essentially, they would put the competitors in a match, and we would kind of do our thing. We cut a promo, do the match, and the fans would vote whether or not they like who did they like better. Did they like us or did they like the opponents? And we'd wrestled the Russian Nightmares. I want to believe they're going by. With Nikita Koloff, and yeah, like I said, my dad and I, we just cut a very good promo, had the match. The match was good. The crowd was in when they were still in Atlanta doing the tapings, and it was a lot of fun. And we ended up winning the competition and all that stuff. We got more votes. We're like, great, and then, like I said, COVID kind of hit. So, and then also, like, Lagana had exited, which I think that was kind of his idea. So, I think that kind of got put on a hold. So it was kind of like, oh man, we lost our momentum, but it's all right. But then, like, kind of when they started running back, they contacted us to wrestle in Atlanta. And that's when my dad and I tagged. It was my dad and I versus Tim Storm and Sal Renero. And ever since then,
Sal,
Sal the pal. Sal, I love Sal, man. If you
Sal
yeah,
was on my old podcast.
oh yeah.
Back in I want to say 2020 during COVID, Sal come on. It was right after I'd met him at the NWA tapings over in Atlanta, and he came on the show. Great guy and just hilarious.
Oh,
So,
Sal's another one, man. I've known Sal since I was a little kid. He was my favorite wrestler at one point because when my dad was wrestling at NWA Wildside by Bill Barons, in that Gainesville area, the Cornelia, Georgia. Like, I was going to those shows with him, and I loved Sal when I was a kid. So that was another cool thing, like being able to wrestle somebody like that. It was a lot of fun. But anyways, yeah. So ever since that match, we just kind of had a good working relationship, and Billy enjoyed. It was really cool working with Billy, and like he really enjoyed. He liked us, so that it kind of just started from there, and we were wrestling the NWA for, I want to say, till about 2023. I want to say, but it was a lot of fun, man. My dad, like. We got to do a lot of promos, and besides tag team stuff, I got a lot of cool singles matches. I wrestled Colby Carino a lot. Colby Carino, he's such a
yes,
fantastic and amazing talent. Like, another one that is just like, truly just amazing. Anytime we got in the ring, it was just magic to just get in the ring with somebody like him. Another second generation wrestler. That was a lot of fun. Doing the stuff with Homicide for the junior heavyweight championship, like that was a really cool thing for me. Homicide's another guy that I've known for a long time, since I was a teenager. So to be able to work with somebody of his, pedigree too, because Homicide's was in the, man, I think he just retired, and I was like 30 something years in the game. And to just be able to wrestle somebody like that, to learn from him. And he was also an agent too at the time. So like, that's somebody I got to pick his brain a lot, ask questions, and he's people think Homicide just kind of a brawler and all stuff, but he's a very, very intellectual, like, he's a wrestler. He loves wrestling. So we talk about, like some old Japanese wrestling, and just kind of like, we're talking about, oh, like, check out this hole, check out this, those kind of things. So it was really cool to be able to learn from somebody like that and do those things. And like I said, my dad and I, we've had plenty of great tag team matches. The Crockett Cup was something else that was really memorable. So we had ended up wrestling the end, which was Odin and Pero. And, the match went really well, but my dad got concussed really bad. He wasn't able to continue wrestling, and we had won. So it kind of ended up being a handicap. It was me versus La Rebellion in a handicap match, and that was probably one of the most memorable and also kind of defining. Like, I knew, like, obviously I knew, like, I was good at wrestling and I enjoyed it, but when I did that, like, and again, like, all credit to La Rebellion too, but it was just like, just the adversity I had to go through. My dad was down. I'm coming back. I'm not giving up. I'm coming in. I'm going to keep us going to this tournament. And, I'm going against the tag team champions at the time. And, I just kept hanging in there. And, the crowd, I gained the respect that night too. It was just a cool feeling and just like, a positive, taking something unfortunately of getting, where my dad got concussed to continuing that. And, yeah, man, that was a really cool experience. I'm trying to think of other things. Definitely, when we did the show here in New Orleans, that Hard Times 2 against La Rebellion, that was another memorable match. It was another one where we were going for the tag team titles. We'd wrestled them like very last minute in NWA 74, La Rebellion, because I think Harry Smith had gotten COVID. The British Bulldog son, Harry Smith, Bulldog Jr., gotten COVID. So anyways, we wrestled them. Then we had another chance for them in New Orleans, and that match was it was magical. Unfortunately, we didn't come away with the titles that night, but like, man, the crowd, they were just so into it. They wanted us to win, and it was so good to be in our hometown in that stage and just put on like, and that's probably, I would say, definitely like top 3 favorite tag matches I've ever done with my dad. It was just, like I said, it was just a good night of good energy, and after that, my dad had gotten hurt, so he kind of took a little break. So I just kept doing a little singles things for a little while. But which it was cool. But yeah, I hadn't wrestled with NWA since 2023. I want to say it's around there. It was one of those things where we really couldn't work anything out, unfortunately, just because Heels was still going on. I couldn't really commit to something full time because Heels at the end of the day was kind of the priority.
Yeah.
And so that was what it was. Like we tried to do a couple dates, but we had some Wildcat shows. But I'm very grateful for the time I had at NWA. If anytime the door opens, whatever opportunity it is, I'm going to do the best of my ability. So whether I come back or not, it'll be a good time regardless. But like I said, it was a good time.
Awesome. What do you think of JCW Lunacy? I'm Gigolo Championship Wrestling there.
So I haven't seen anything from JCW, but like from like actually watching any of the matches. But I know some people that are on there, and I've seen some like pictures and all stuff. I mean, it seems pretty cool, I mean, Violent J. I mean, he's been around the wrestling business to my knowledge for a while, and I know Juggalo Championship Wrestling's been around for a while. So I mean, yeah, whoop whoop, yeah, right. But I think I'd have to watch more. I can't really give you a real like in-depth opinion, but I'm sure it's probably a lot of fun and a good time for whoever's there.
Oh yeah, I've watched a little bit of it. It's pretty interesting. Who's PJ Hawx looking to get into the ring the most in the future?
That's a great question. There's a lot of people, I like to wrestle, going back to Steve Anthony, I mean, Steve is somebody I've known since I was a little kid. So, I think that's something on my bucket list that I would like to do. Suge and I did have a one-on-one match. So, that was cool. But a tag match would be fun. There's a bunch of people that I can't, like, again, like a Kurt Angle would have been like a dream match of mine, like ideally that would have been definitely a dream match for me. And somebody like CM Punk too, honestly, CM Punk was my favorite kind of growing up, when I was younger, and working with him on Heels was just a really cool experience. And, I think, I mean, whenever I make it to that stage one day, CM Punk would be definitely a good dream opponent for mine to wrestle. But in terms of local talent, and just people in the South, I mean, Raza Riley is another one. I think I could have a good match with somebody that's up and coming in the South. That's really good. I think Raza and I would have a good match. I'm really looking forward to July 26th going against Simon Phillips at Pro Wrestling 225 in Denham Springs. Simon is somebody that I have a lot of respect for. I've seen how hard he's worked, and he's put in a lot of work. He's growing, and he's somebody that I definitely think has a bright future ahead, of himself too. So I think that match with Simon is going to be a lot of fun. He's a guy that likes to go. So am I. So you're going to make some magic. He said, "Am I ready for the smoke? I'm always ready to take on whoever." So whether the outcome's me winning or him winning, to me, we'll see what it is. But regardless, I think it's going to be two wrestlers putting their all in the ring and trying to walk away with that victory. So that's another match I'm really looking forward to. I'm also game to wrestle kind of anybody. You know what I mean? Like I love going against people that are, that can push me and challenge me. Like I wrestled Ryan Davidson at Top Draw a couple of weeks ago, and that was something that was really cool. Like I wrestled Ryan a long time ago when I was, like just starting out, but to have a singles match with him was really cool. Somebody maybe on my bucket list currently, Brian Kendricks. I mean, still amazing shape and go and all that stuff. I think that would be a phenomenal match. Chad Gable, in an ideal world, right? Chad Gable would be another one that would just be a fun match and stuff. But yeah, man, I just love to go out there, whether it's I'm just entertaining the crowd or just putting on a really good barn burner, as they say. Like I just love wrestling. So whoever I can make magic with, and we can have a good time and entertain people, and that's really what I look forward to. But if y'all have any suggestions of who you want to see me wrestle, I'd love to hear it.
There would not be a match there. He would smoke me in 2 minutes, Miss Savage.
No. Give yourself credit. Give yourself credit. Look, we don't have to beef. We're friends.
I ain't gonna give myself credit. Look at that arm, baby. That's a 2-inch python right there. You think I'm gonna sit there and give myself credit? Ray Fury and PJ would be a good one, Chris Ricard. Really
I've never stepped in the ring with Ray Fury. I mean, look, if he wins his next match in the Down of the Bayou tournament, I win my next one. That's the finals right there. So, I mean, you could very well be looking at a PJ Hawx versus Ray Fury finals for BIW Down in the Bayou tournament. So you may be getting your wish pretty soon. But, I got to get through July 19th first.
Yeah, let me ask you this, though. It would be hilarious seeing him whoop my ass. Oh, I'm sure everybody would get a kick out of seeing him whoop my ass after false stuff. But anyway, all right. Oh, one of my favorite refs, George Strong, popping in.
I appreciate that, George. Thank you.
Yes, PJ Hawx and Vladimir Koloff. What's your thoughts on Vladimir Koloff?
I mean, I've seen a lot of Vladimir Koloff recently, when I went to 225, and I think Vladimir is another one that, he's kind of really been ramping up steam in the Gulf Coast, I want to say for like the last couple of years. So I think, me versus Vladimir Koloff would definitely be, a good match, and somebody, I definitely would like to, if he's one of the top up and coming, or just top, competitors in the coast, hey, let's do it, man. I'm down. I'm game.
Well, I am his manager, so I guess we can kind of work something out there. We may have to do it. But Top Draw. We hadn't talked about them yet. I kind of want to bring them up.
Top Draw Wrestling, Lafayette, Louisiana.
Tell me what's your thoughts on this, because it looks like a top tier promotion. We're gonna have the owner coming on the Brilliant Show here in a couple of weeks or a week or so. Give us your thoughts on Top Draw, because they look like they're tearing the house down there, and I can't wait for the next show.
And they are, man. They are. Top Draw Wrestling has been a fantastic promotion to work for, and every time I'm there, it's just so much fun. Top Draw. They started last year in June. I want to say end of June, and they've been kind of running and rolling ever since in the Lafayette area. And the shows are just so much fun, and they also book quality talents. They're coming in. They're putting on good shows, good events, and it's just fun. Every time I go there, it's fun. The crowd just has fun. I'm getting to talk to everybody, and they're just having a good time. And it's just, when everybody's having a good time, it's just fun. And they're having. I won't be on the next show, but they are having a show July 26th in Lafayette. I'm at 225 that day against Simon Phillips. But Top Draw is running a show. I want to say they're at Northside High School. Definitely if you're in the Lafayette area, check them out. I know Suge will be there. I'm pretty sure. I know Raza Riley is going to be there. I can't think of everybody else off the top of my head.
Raza is another great talent.
Yeah, Roz. That's right. I mentioned him a couple times, but so definitely somebody else that's going to be on the come up pretty soon. But yeah, I mean, Top Draw's phenomenal. If you are in the Lafayette area, definitely check them out. And it's just great. I enjoy my time there, and I'm just looking forward. I'm trying to work my way back up into that title picture. So pretty soon, who knows? Maybe you might see PJ Hawx as the heavyweight champion. But I got to keep working my way up the ladder. But I have no problem with doing that. That's what I'm here to do.
Well, exactly. I mean, you're a great talent. You're on the rise, and you got a bright future ahead of you. Let me ask you this though: have you done extra work with WWE? I have not looked. I have not noticed it, so I don't know because I don't really keep up with mainstream wrestling as much.
Yeah, I've done some extra work for WWE before. Like I mean, I've done it for a long time. I want to say since 2017. The first one it was like which is cool. It was Zack Ryder and somebody else. That's one that I had I talk about a dream match for me. I got to wrestle Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins with my dad in a Harley Davidson in Alaska for WrestlePro. So yeah, like you talk about a dream, and that's kind of going back to dream opponents. I've been able to do some cool stuff, man. Like that match was pretty surreal. Like the fact that I'm in Alaska, wrestling for this promotion, which is again so cool. Like like it's one of those states where like people might not ever visit in their lifetime, just because it's so far. PJ is a promoter. I'm not a promoter. I promote myself technically. So, I mean, I don't know if does that count? Or are you talking about wrestling promoter? Like a shows? I don't promote shows. Anyways, but yeah, we're in Alaska. We're also in a Harley Davidson, like the ring's in a Harley Davidson, which is like, again, it's just so random because like, all right, this is pro wrestling at its finest, like what other show or thing would you do in a Harley Davidson or just kind of a venue like that? And I got to wrestle somebody I was looking up to. So like that was such a cool experience. And going back to that, yeah, like I did something with Zach. It was me, Jay Spade, I think Buku Dao with like Zack Ryder. So I did that. WrestleMania 28, not 28, 34 actually was one of the paramedics for Daniel Bryan's match. So if you go and look back at that, when Daniel Bryan's getting checked out, it's me and a wrestler by the name of Kurt Matthews. It's us two checking Daniel Bryan out there. And I'll say that was one of definitely the most surreal experiences of my life, just going out there in the Superdome and just checking everything out. Like I normally I don't ever really get starstruck in these opportunities and stuff like that, but it was just one. I wouldn't say I was starstruck, but definitely like I took it in, for sure, because just being able to just be in that whole atmosphere and everything else like that, it was amazing. And it's just something I'm like, man, I want to be here for sure, one day. And so yeah, I've done that, definitely, getting a major professional contract is the goal, whether it's WWE, AEW, TNA. I think anywhere that I can go and showcase my skills, I think I can excel in there. What up, Raza? I think I can excel wherever I go, and I've really Holly Grove, the hoochie daddy of Holly Grove. That's my man. But what you call it? And that's something, I've really kind of in the last 2 years kind of grown into my own as a performer, just kind of find out what works, what doesn't work. And I'm still working on everything every time I step in the ring, but just like, just kind of what I want to portray in the ring and with my character, my attitude, my ring work and, gear, everything else like that. It's all coming together and it's been a lot. It's been a really fun process. So sorry, I know it's kind of a long-winded answer to your question, but definitely my goal is to get sign a major professional wrestling contract. And but I know sooner or later it will happen.
Oh, it definitely will. I look at it and I say this. One of the best talents on the coast, Vladimir Koloff. I've always believed in him. Always thought he's good. Always thought he had the it factor. He should be on a major TV program. There's several. Shug's made for TV, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Then you look at people like Ray Fury and others, and I'm not trying to miss names here, okay? But I'm just saying there's so many names that could be on TV because I don't think the South gets a good enough look down here.
No, it doesn't, and I think that's definitely something that's been, one thing that's been prominent on my mind. Again, and it's not even to make excuses or anything like that. I don't think
Roger Riley.
Texas is bigger, for sure. You look at Texas is a hotbed, California, and then the Northeast. You look at Philadelphia, New York, kind of New Jersey. That's those are good like wrestling hotbeds and stuff like that. Chicago, but and it's kind of tough down here, But I do think that Southern wrestling, especially the talent pool, is growing. You have people that and this is everywhere that are good and aren't good and stuff like that. But I do think the talent that is good and that are or just getting better are definitely out there, and it's really cool to see. And sooner rather than later, I think it's just kind of one of those things that eventually those talents will be able to get their opportunity to be seen everywhere else. It's just a matter of time. People are putting in work, and sooner or later people are going to recognize that.
I agree fully. All right, Willie Buck's got a question, and I got something I want to ask.
All right.
Itching to ask all night. But Willie Buck says, "Have you ever been to combat sports pro wrestling before?"
I have not been to combat sports pro wrestling yet. I believe they're running in Biloxi, Mississippi, I want to say. I think we had tried to work out something one time. I had something in school where like it was just kind of very like the 2 last minute, like, I had to send in an application, just go into that. So I couldn't do that. But I definitely would be down to come out to combat sports pro wrestling. That would be a good time. I'm game. I'm game to come wherever.
Well, there you go. All right. So my next question is, and Fort Walton Beach and Freeport. Yeah, they do run in Fort Walton and Freeport, in Florida. All right. So my question is, Gato. I mean, that's all I had to say was Gato. I mean, that should be enough right there. The biggest troll in the world.
I've known Gato for a long time, man. He's been nothing but cool with me, and I always enjoy our conversations. We talk about some video games, whatever, man. That's pretty much it with me. But yeah, Gato. I want to say I met him. I mean, he had come a long time ago to the Wildcat shows. Like I want at least like 2012. By 2012, 2013, he was definitely there. But I mean, yeah, man. Gato's pretty cool, man. I mean, also he Gato cat. You got something bad to say about a cat? Yes. Is there something? Is there something that I don't know? What's the probe here? What's going on? What's going on with Gato?
Oh well, Raza says fuck that guy. Okay.
Oh man, I don't say those things. Not anymore. I changed. I don't curse anymore.
Clearly, my name stays out of your lips. No, Miss Savage, I've been saying your name all night, and we'll get to you in just a second. But no, Gato, Sing Pet, they were both members. I think they're cousins or something. But anyway, they were both members of my faction at one time, Brilliant Incorporated. Mm-hmm. And so I just wanted to get your thoughts on him. He turned his back on me, so I think he's a dastardly, person. But
that's the pro wrestling world, man. Unfortunately,
I heard Raza and Zane tore it up last night. So, Miss Savage, what's your thoughts on Miss Savage here?
Miss Savage.
She's a great ring announcer. She's great at everything she does. She's all over Louisiana. I've been saying your name all night, Miss Savage. Gato, you will never be invited.
That's rough. That's rough right there. I'm sorry, Gato. Let's see. Is that Samoa? If that's Samoa, Samoa's awesome. I love Samoa. She was at I know her from my Wildcat days too and stuff like that. She was always very nice to me and stuff like that. She was very cool. So I got nothing but positive things to say about Miss Savage as well.
Yeah, she is awesome and one of the top ring announcers on the coast.
That's what I like to hear. There you go.
Silicon Dave, I would break bread with Gato anytime. I'm sure you would, Silicon, because you've got a problem with PJ, right? Come on, Silicon, tell us the problem here.
You got a problem with me? What's going on here, man?
I don't know. He's been avoiding this week all week since I announced you were coming on the podcast. He's just been kind of dipping and dodging. Brandon didn't know. Screw Gato. Screw
Gato,
Gato.
Gato. Dang, man. I
There
see
you
there's a lot of
go.
Gato hate on here, man. I got no, I'm not jumping on that. I'm not in any beefs, but hopefully you guys can resolve it, whatever it is.
I
Maybe
don't even know if he's still around. Is he? I know Singpet retired, but I don't know about Gato. I know we got Asian Allen coming on tomorrow.
there you go.
So we got Asian Allen on tomorrow. So I mean, maybe we can talk to him. I don't even know if he knows them, so I don't know. Oof, beef happening in here. Nah, it ain't no beef. It's all good. It's all Gato. Sting Pet knows Gato's a bitch. I bet he does. Look at Vladimir Koloff sticking in here. PJ was talking some crap about you, Vladimir.
I said
trash.
they said Vladimir Koloff versus PJ Hawx. I said, let's do it, man. Got to go against one of the best in the Gulf Coast.
Now, I thought you said Raza was one of the best in the Gulf Coast.
We got a lot of the best. There could be multiple bests. There don't have to be one singular best. I mean, I guess there can if you look at the definition. But, regardless, top tier talent for sure.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Top tier. And, we was talking about Josh Newell, was talking about BIW. Like, every match on his card could be a main event somewhere on the independent scene. It's not like he has that, oh man, that was the second match on the card. You had to get it out of the way. Every one of his matches are always usually top tier as well, along with, Wildcat always puts on great shows. As a matter of fact, speaking of Wildcat, let's bring that up real quick. Every time, I mean, I know they don't run shows, but what, about 6 times a year, maybe?
I'd say about that, maybe a little more, 6 to 8. Just depends on what kind of is going on.
But every time I see something from Wildcat, it's packed out. Like there is nowhere to move. Like your birthday party, your birthday bash.
My bachelor party.
Yeah, your bachelor party. All together, man. There, Vladimir Call says, let's do it.
Well, let's do it. Let's do it.
As his manager, we need to go ahead and set this up. But anyway, your bachelor party, man. Like, it was like elbows to elbows in that whole building. And what was that experience like being in that show?
I mean, that was really cool. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do anything crazy. I don't like going to strip clubs. Nothing against anybody that does. I just don't do any of that kind of stuff. But because we always do it. And dang, I understand, man. It happens to the best of us. Anyways, yeah. So it was one of those things where we always do X-rated, and I pitched it. I was like, well, I mean, I was getting married, pretty soon. So I'm like, why don't we just do my bachelor party as X-rated, And that's how that theme kind of came up, and that was that. You know what I mean? Like just kind of combining the two together, because I mean, everybody wants to. What is a bachelor party? It's a party, right? You go out there, you drink, you go have a good time and stuff like that, and that's exactly what it was. We had a lot of fun. The boys were all trying to get me to drink and stuff like that. I just kept running away. They tried to get strippers for me. I ran away and stuff like that until I finally wrestled Willie Mack, and we had a good match. Definitely got some bruising on my chest and all that stuff, but it went well, and that was kind of it. But yeah, man, I give credit to my dad and everybody else at Wildcat. We really put we really put a lot of effort. Yes, I was, Raza. We should have put you there instead.
From Katie Forbes? Wait a minute. From Katie Forbes? Like, so Rob Van Dam was actually letting you get a lap dance and you wouldn't take it?
I just look, man. I'm about to get married. Just because you have a bachelor party doesn't mean you do anything crazy. You know what I mean? I'm all about respect. If you know me, I'm all about respect. So, anyways, though, but yeah, so we but anyways, we it's always top notch. We're always trying to do something to really, cater to the fans, have a good show, and just, I mean, even with the training, Wildcat School is not easy. They're always very strict. They're always very strict. There's no such thing as a free pass, bro. There's no such thing as a free pass. Just letting you know. Thank you, thank you. But yeah, the training at the school is really tough. You know what I mean? Like and I don't even want to say it's in the sense of like, I don't even want to say in the sense of it's necessarily difficult. It's just difficult if you've never done something. And the bare minimum to get into the ring is, you have to be able to run a mile, at least a mile, and do 4 sets of 25 push-ups, sit-ups, jumping jacks, squats on top of bear crawls, body carries, all that kind of stuff. So again, like I said, somebody that has an athletic background or just kind of works out, they may have an easier time. But for somebody that doesn't, you know what I mean? It's not going to be easy. And it goes really back to kind of quality, right? To be a professional wrestler, you have to be in shape because, you're not just doing it for you. You also have your opponent and you have to make sure to be able to, wrestle and take care of them to the best of your ability as well. So, and we take that seriously. So, anytime there's a Wildcat show, there's always high quality, very, everybody's putting a lot of passion. Not saying there's not that everywhere else there is, but I just know because I was, there all the time, just, with all that kind of stuff. Just, again, it's just top tier. We want to, we want to do the best. We want to be the best. And, I think it shows with our crowds and with our match quality too.
Oh, definitely. Definitely the talent is there. That's like, you look at Wildcats, it's worth the money. You're going to get to go see it. It's great. Shannon Henderson has a question. Let's see what he has to say. How was it feeling and the emotions for the storyline with your dad? Did you really enjoy it?
It's kind of a double-edged sword because I'll be honest, my dad and I we're not on the best of terms, unfortunately. That's not we took
It's been a
something.
couple of years too, hadn't it?
Yeah, I mean, at least almost 2 years now, and I don't really want to jump into all the kind of like nitty-gritty details and all that stuff, but it's kind of one of those things where in that situation, we're taking something that is real and kind of using pro wrestling to kind of convey that. And and again, not even really everything, just what we want to show and what we but again, it was interesting because for me, again, I'm all about storytelling and I'm all about emotion. You have this relationship between my father and I, and again, I love my father. Regardless of all our differences, I love him. And of course, like every family, every family has their problems and those kind of things. So but it was a little easier. Obviously, not. I don't even want to say easier. It was authentic because some of this was kind of real hurt that I felt and some real pain that he felt. And I think what we did, if it, like I said, unfortunately, we're still not on the best of speaking terms. But what we did, especially at the Revolution Rumble, I think we were able to cultivate something that was, bigger in the sense of wrestling because it was real. You know what I mean? Like, there is that drama, there is that tension between us, but like I said, it's and also I got to show a different side of me that I never do. Like, again, I'm always, if you see me, I'm always about respect in the ring. I'm always about playing by the rules and do those kind of things. And then the situation, I wasn't because I'm just tired of dealing with, a situation, that kind of evolved from, real life into wrestling, unfortunately. So it was like I said, it was definitely a roller coaster. And I'll end it with this, like I said, I love my dad. I hope one day that, we as we continue to talk, we can reconcile, and I'll leave it at that.
All right. Well, I want to ask something or say something about your dad here in just a second. All right. So I saw your a post that your dad made. I think it's been over a year ago. It has to have been over a year ago because I hadn't really paid much attention to wrestling. But the emotion he poured out, when he was talking to you, seemed very genuine, very real. And you could almost feel the pain in his eyes that y'all weren't talking. And hopefully somewhere down the line y'all can get that worked out.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, man. Thank you. I really
Yeah.
do. And to everybody else that has well wishes for us, of course, like it's a whole different beast, because it's being vulnerable with something that, again, really has no place in being in public eyes, in my opinion. You know, again, because I mean, everybody has family drama. You're just not entertainers, so or most people aren't entertainers, so you don't really get that exposed to everybody else, and it's a little different story because our family, we are entertainers, and we're professional wrestlers. So like I said, it was cool in the sense of like it was real and all that stuff, but it also did suck because it was, like I said, it was real. So I think, like I said, I think down the line, I think we'll be able to see each other and kind of, go from there. But it just, like I said, I love my dad. Like I'm not gonna sit here and talk ill about him and all that stuff. I just, like I said, just needs time.
Chris Chambers says, I hope y'all can reconcile. And, I mean, it is true, though.
Yeah, thank you. I'm sorry to hear that, but no, I do appreciate it. Thank you,
Because
Chris.
we don't know how much time we have on Earth.
Yeah,
And, time is precious. And when we look at things, we're like, man, it could be gone tomorrow.
yeah,
And then I didn't talk to my mom, or I didn't talk to my dad. My mom got real sick a couple of years ago, or actually just a little over a year ago, and she's starting to do better. But in honesty, the doctors have already told us that it's only a matter of time.
yeah,
So I try to call her every morning, talk to her, and because there's one day I'm not going to be able to call and hear that voice, and that's the hard part. That's the hard part, is knowing that day is coming. We just don't know when it's coming, and I hope you and your dad, reconcile and all that, and because I saw the pain in his eyes, but I don't know Luke. Never really met him in person. I don't know him, but I've seen how he acts, and I just saw the genuine in his eyes when he was reaching out to you. So, hopefully, there can be some kind of middle ground there.
yeah. And like I said, I know we both love each other. I think there's no doubt about that. I think again, it just has to be more conversations where we can kind of just meet in the middle and kind of go from there. And it's not just one side; it's both sides. So and that's that's the difficult part when you have two stubborn individuals too. Like I said, I can go on and on about it, but I'll leave it at that. Like I said, I love my dad. I'm sure one day we'll get to that chance to reconcile, but like I said, I do really appreciate everybody. And, like I said, for all that we're a part of that journey and stuff like that, like I said, I just hope you, regardless, it was, did the best of what we could do. So I just go on from there.
Oh, exactly, man. Dude, I just want to look at this. All right. So we're about to close out. I'll get ready to close out here because I know you're a busy man. You got a lot of things going on, school, work, wrestling. Gosh, I mean, you're so busy. They did the Iron Claw, and they used, what was it, Jaden Spade?
Yeah, J Spade, yes sir. Another one of the best unsigned talents out there, along with
him and Brady Pierce both.
Yeah, Brady Pierce too, yes sir.
I watched that movie when it came out just because I'm a big Von Erich mark.
Yeah.
And I followed that story forever. And I'm sorry. I know that Hollywood always has their own aspect of things. They didn't mention Chris at all. They took a lot out. They made the Von Erichs like, oh, we're going after the NWA World Title, which that was not ever the case.
Right.
Stuff like that. But what was your thoughts on that movie and having a lot of your friends in it and filming with it? Because I know there was a lot of work down in Louisiana, Texas, and all that with a lot of the talent.
Oh yeah. So I was originally going to try to work on it, but that was I was doing an internship at the time. So it was there was just no way for me to work around it. Like I needed it for one class particularly that I was doing back then. So like
Very
you
stubborn.
know, like I couldn't do it. So but it was really cool to see people like, again, Spade, Brady, those guys in it. I think Matt Lancey was also in it. So it was really cool to see those guys. But I know some people didn't really. If you're a wrestling fan, you didn't appreciate the fact that they cut out a lot of things and stuff like that. But I will say this in terms of everybody that wasn't a wrestling fan that I talked to about it loved it. And that's because, again, it's that real emotion. I think with Chris too. Again, I don't really know the details on stuff, but I mean, that family unfortunately has so much tragedy, and it's really, really
Way too
hard.
much tragedy.
Yeah, yeah, and it's so unfortunate. And I think to have maybe shown another death in the movie, I don't know if people really could have just like, been okay with that because it's very heavy. You know what I mean? And I mean, and if you look at pro wrestling too, a lot of it, unfortunately, there's a lot of sad stories and unfortunate stories like that. So that's why it's most really important to just, you know, try to just have fun, enjoy it, and also not take it too seriously because at the end of the day, there's more than life than just wrestling. Like that's at the end of the day, we're people, we're real people and stuff. And but anyways, going back to the Von Erichs, I enjoyed the film. I thought the acting was great from everybody from Jeremy Allen and
Even Ric Flair's.
Zach. So the Rick was Rick wasn't my favorite in that sense, but like I don't like it's hard to do Ric Flair, man. Like you know what I mean?
You
Like it's
can't
just
do
like
Ric Flair.
right, right, right. It's just kind of one of those things where it's like all right, like I was talking about it with somebody about Michael Jackson. It's like we're talking about I don't know if you ever heard of The Wiz, but it's
Yeah. Oh
yeah.
yeah.
So like it's like all right, who would if they did a modern Wiz? Who would play Michael Jackson? It's like nobody because nobody can replace Michael Jackson. You know what I mean? And it's one of those things where like it's just kind of hard to replace. But what you call it? But I thought the movie was great. Like I said, it's great storytelling and stuff like that. And it's cool, regardless. Even if you're a wrestling fan and you don't really you don't like how it wasn't historically accurate. The one thing, and we'll get to that comment in a second. The one thing that is important to realize is the fact that a professional wrestling story movie was in theaters all across the country. That is a huge win for professional wrestling because not only that just gets what we love out there to more people. Now think about this: the Von Erichs movie may have been somebody's first experience ever seeing professional wrestling. Now they might be in tune to going to watch WWE. More importantly, they might. Oh, hey, look, this company called BIW is in town. I never even heard of them, but now or Wildcat, like a Top Draw or wherever your promotion at, they may want to go see you because now they watch this on a bigger platform and they're like, well, I want to see this too. I didn't even. There's so many times where I talk to people like I didn't even know this was here and stuff like that. And a lot of that also comes from film and television. So I think it's really cool anytime you can get it may not be the most accurate, unfortunately, but the fact that we have a platform for professional wrestling and it also gives wrestlers jobs in the film industry and gets more eyes on professional wrestling, which can help the independent scene and grow your promotion, all that kind of stuff, and help just the wrestlers just be seen more. I think that's fantastic, and I just really hope that they continue to, grow with the film. The film industry's kind of had its struggles in the last couple of years with the strike, and just kind of coming back, unfortunately. But I hope when the film industry kind of continues to boom again, they kind of pick up on more professional wrestling stories, and it just gives more of a platform for all of us to kind of shine. And I think that's the most important thing. We're all trying to find a way in professional wrestling if you're in the industry to market yourself, get out there more and all that kind of stuff. And whatever helps, to get more eyes on it, I think it's a positive thing. Whether you like it or not, the more eyes, in my opinion, the better.
Oh, exactly. The more eyes, the better. Always. Chris Ricard.
Yeah, and 100%. I think it's kind of human nature to bash and fight with people sometimes, whether it's jealousy, whether it's anger, resentment, all those kind of things. And again, like I go through these things too and stuff like that. But it's just you got to do your best to just try to support people and just be there and like help people out. You know what I mean? And just do the best you can. Some people don't want to be helped. Some people don't want. You know what I mean? They're not trying to do anything. Just kind of support the best way you can, man. Sometimes it doesn't need to be just being there 100% too. It's just supporting. Hey, man, like I can't do this for you, but I'm gonna cheer for you. Support doesn't come. It doesn't have to be one particular way. Support comes in many different forms, and so whether that's I know a lot of people kind of going back to that. Some people get mad because this person maybe you have a friend and they can't make a show, but they shared your post. Just because they can't make the show and they support your they share your post. That's still support. And I think some people like I said, just they got to realize that.
Oh yeah, no doubt. And here's the thing, man. Like the more places that people have to work, the better.
100%.
So
100%.
egos keep the bashing going. All right, if you're in wrestling, you've got an ego. There's no doubt. You have to have an ego if you're in wrestling. The difference is keeping it in check.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. Everybody has an ego, and it's not in the sense of like that. I feel like now we're going into kind of like a psychology breakdown, which is great. How you doing? But it's in the sense of like, we all have something that we really enjoy and we're really passionate about. We have a drive for and stuff like that, and that's kind of also that like I said, in terms of the ego, like we all do it. Like I love professional wrestling. I love to perform. I love to do all these things and stuff like that. But like it's just all about like, again, those checks and balances, like realizing like okay, like not being too obsessed, because again, like this is the thing, like I think we were talking about this a little before, like you get so involved in one thing that's the other aspects of your life may be lacking. You may not because you're so involved in one aspect of your life, you don't realize, oh, I'm missing out on this, I'm missing out on that, and all those things like that. And it's tough, and that I think that's part of life, and also growing up, learning about those different aspects of life, learning like, okay, like maybe I need to step back and do this, maybe I need to try to do better in this part of my life and all that kind of stuff. But I think that's the beauty of it. You get to journey, you get to explore what works, what doesn't work, and what makes you happy. And again, I think we're obviously we love professional wrestling. It makes us happy, and hopefully, like I said, whoever else that watches us and enjoys it, thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoy it, and the idea is to continue doing it as long as possible that we can.
Oh, exactly. So we're about to.
I have this
We're gonna start
what
closing.
about the wrestling mat or in the wrestling ring? I'm curious, but when I all the matter.
I'm a normal self. Okay.
I don't really understand the question. Is it like what is the question about?
I have this motto about what the wrestling mat or in the wrestling ring. I'm fierce, but when I'm off the mat, out of the ring, I'm my normal self. I guess kind of trying to separate yourself from the business, like when you're in the ring from when you're not.
Oh
Deal.
yeah. Okay, if that's what you're saying. Yeah, 100%. And I think it's love you too, Trey. I think that's important too, man. Just being able to separate that too. It's kind of crazy, that some people it's hard to separate some of those things from each other. Like, obviously
That wasn't a question, guy. We made it once, Raza.
Oh, it was a statement. Yes. I think we're just continuing on that. But yeah, 100%, like is it a wrestling? Oh, you're right. Like, oh, okay. Well, I mean, it just depends. When I was mat wrestling, I was very focused. I mean, I'm still focused in professional wrestling, but what I mean by that is just like I'm coming in there, even in pro wrestling, I am focused. I'm coming in, I'm ready to go out in the ring, do my job, try to beat my opponent, and just entertain the crowd in the process, and kind of go from there. Mat wrestling, I was very much just focused on just like, just trying to figure out how to take the guy down, how to pin him and all that stuff. And I think, confidence for me, I'm usually, I'm always confident when I step into the ring in professional wrestling. Amateur wrestling, I was a little nervous at times, of course, because, I was younger and there's high stakes stuff too, but I think it's all about confidence, and you gain confidence by repetition. You know, whatever it is you're doing, do it a bunch. You know, so if you, let's just say, you know, in the ring, like I want to get better at posing. What's the best way to get better? By practicing. So whether I'm at practice from the show, I'm gonna, you know, maybe I do my drop kick. I'm gonna work on doing a pose after that. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna see, okay, maybe the fans like that, maybe they don't. And mat wrestling, you know, I'm gonna work on my double legs. Okay, let me work on this double leg so I hit it 100 times. Now I'm gonna hit it 101. Now I'm gonna hit it 105, and you keep going. Then I'm gonna try it on somebody else. You know, trying to do things and do it well a bunch of times. Repetition helps a lot. So if that's what you're asking, my best advice to you: do whatever you do a lot, and it's okay if you fail. Failing is part of the process. You know, we all fail. I fail all the time, but that's the fun of it. You just figure out what works best for you, and you go from there. Hopefully that helped or hopefully that answered your question.
So here we go. We're gonna get ready. I'm gonna let you plug your stuff in and just say, "Facts, man. I think you are working towards a great future with your product." Yeah, Crystal Card's got a good product working in his future. I think he's got a lot of things that a lot of moving pieces. I don't know if you've heard of Magnolia Championship Wrestling, but I think they're got a lot of moving pieces, and I think he's trying to move it in the right direction. So yeah, I'll give him props on that.
Yeah, and that's all I think everybody should be. You know, that's trying to. Yes, confidence. Yes, there's a difference between cockiness and confidence, but you know,
I like both. I like
you
both.
know, yeah, right. But you know the difference. You know, it's really just being sure of yourself and just believing in yourself more than anything. You know, but I did both. I did all three. I did freestyle, Greco-Roman, and folk style. So I did all three. If you can do all three, I highly recommend you do all three. I don't know if you're in high school or what you're doing, but all of them are going to help. You know, I was always a taller individual, so like Greco was a little easier for me. But you know, it helped my folk style because you know if I couldn't take somebody down with their legs, I was able to go upper body and throw them.
Yeah, he just brought Raza and Suge in.
Oh
You
yeah,
can't get no better than that.
I know.
And Raza, man, like Koloff had to take on Raza in the middle of Conehatta, Mississippi, which is in the middle of nowhere. There's nothing there. There's not even there's barely a post office there.
No Bucky's?
Hell no, there ain't no Bucky's. Oh man. But we went in there and Raza threw me over the top rope, tried to beat up on me. It was just horrible. But I have to give Raza his props. He's a great talent. He really is. And can't wait to get Raza on the podcast.
That's a great question. You know, that's a long. I hope it's a long time away from now. You know, you never know with injuries. You know, God forbid, like I get hurt super seriously to where, you know, like I can't continue anymore. But you know, again, there's more than life. That's a grown man trying to wrestle. Be careful. I will, Raza. Thank you, brother. Thank you for looking out for me. But going back to that question, you know, like I said, there's more to life than just wrestling. You know, I'm married. You know, I've been with my wife. We've been best friends since middle school. We started dating in 2012. Started dating in 2019. Got married in 2023. Been married 2 years. You know, I love her. I'm super grateful to have her in my life. You know, somebody just amazing as her. I'm super grateful for that. You know, we don't have any children yet. But you know, down the line, that's something we definitely want. You know, just to be, you know, a good husband, a good father, you know, a good follower of Christ. You know, 100%, all those kind of things. And same thing with school too. You know, like my goal, you know, whether to get into physical therapy school or physical therapy assistant school. You know, because there's more to life than just wrestling. And unfortunately, you know, our bodies can't go forever in the wrestling industry. I think it's very important to have something that you can fall back on. And I don't even want to say fall back on, but you know, just have something that you can do other than just wrestling. You know, not having all your eggs in one basket. You know, just having something that you can do reliably to take care of yourself, take care of your family, do whatever else it is. So, you know, so just doing that, and you know, having knowledge and doing something that can support us, and then at the same time too, I love coaching. I coach amateur wrestling. As soon as I graduated high school, unfortunately my high school closed down, so I kind of stopped doing that. But my little brother is training in amateur wrestling now at his school, so just helping him out is a lot of fun. And same thing when doing stuff at Wildcat, like helping coach out, helping people like Shug, Raza, and all that stuff. Because I'm still learning, but like helping them in the process too. I love to coach. I think after I was all said and done, I would definitely want to be a coach to continue sharing my knowledge and helping the future generation, because it all starts with us, and then it goes on to the next people. I know how important my coaches were to me in my life, and just to and not even in the sense of just teaching me about wrestling. It's about the life values. It's about being able to be resilient, being able to fight through adversity, or just being a good person, helping people, being kind, knowing that there's more than just whatever sport or thing you're doing, whether it's family, yourself, all those kind of things. So I think, that's something I'm very passionate about. So definitely down the line, coaching, physical therapy, obviously being a good father, a good husband, those kind of things. That's definitely something I'm looking forward to. But in the meantime, while I'm healthy and I can still go, PJ Hawx is ready to go, man. I'm ready to go all over the place. I am technical excellence. So I'm just having a good time, man. I'm feeling like I'm really just getting into my groove and stuff like that. So I'm just going to enjoy the process till however long I got, man. And we'll go from there.
Sounds good. All right. The floor is yours. What shows you got upcoming? Social media. Where can everybody find you? Have at it.
Yeah, man. So you can find me at PJ_HAWX. That's PJ_Hawx at Instagram, Facebook. I think in Facebook, I might be like P.J.Hawx or something like that. But just like a PJ Hawx. Twitter. I just started doing a little more stuff on my TikTok. Not really wrestling related. I'll put some wrestling stuff up there, just a little more silly stuff. But and in terms of up and coming shows, July 19th, West Monroe, Louisiana. I am back in BIW for that Down on the Bayou tournament, the semifinals against Exodus Prime. It's going to be a tough match, but hey, man, I'm game time. I know how to turn on when the lights come on, and I'm looking forward to taking on that match. And then the week after that, Pro Wrestling 225 in Denham Springs. I am taking on Simon Phillips, July 26th, in a match I'm really looking forward to. Simon is a great competitor, and so am I. And I'm ready to see who's going to be the better man that day.
Awesome. And then Top Draw, been a great promotion. They're going to have a show after that, and we're going to have Sean on to promote that. But and PJ's been there as well. Silicon Dave. Another brilliant show. Thank you. Always Silicon, man. We try to pull it off. PJ, if you'll hang in there for just a minute, I'll talk to you for just a second.
Yes, sir. Thank you, everybody, for joining in. Thank you so much.
Yes. Awesome. Go check us out on Facebook. 99 cents a month. We're going to give away free merchandise tomorrow night here on The Brilliant Show with the first public appearance of Asian Allen. So go check it out. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow night right here on The Brilliant Show.
Lights blaze bright, it's a glorious sight. The champ of the mic owns the night. With a mind so slick and a suit so clean, he's running this ring like a wrestling machine. From gold-plated deals to jaw-dropping schemes, he's the mastermind of your wildest dreams. Stand up, take note, bow down if you can. It's The Brilliant Show with the brilliant one.